Good afternoon. 4:44. I almost did my video this morning. I could have done it at 4:44 a.m. because I was actually up by 2:30. I was awake 5 minutes to 2:02. And I have laid down a couple of times, dozed off very briefly, less than a half an hour each time. Anyway, it's 4:44 p.m. again. I'm back to the 4:44 number. And let me just jump in and say the title is a question. Is there value in fear-mongering? Once again, as happened 2 days ago, I have no clear topic crying out to be addressed. Part of that is because I have been working on visionary projects of things that are not ready to be revealed yet. I know that may sound like old school or old paradigm thinking. Yet I am aware that there is a process going on, and many of the best plans for significant change have been thwarted when too much was revealed too soon. As a visionary and a truth seeker, I try my best to maintain a balance between knowing what is happening in our world and maintaining a level of hopeful expectation. Some people that post on my wall, including a longtime friend from South Africa, seem to post mostly things about how bad it is, especially in the US. So that's what I'll talk about today. Is there value in fear-mongering? And where did I see that mistake? I saw a mistake. I put out instead of our. It's the letter right next to it, but it's the wrong letter. Shoot. Okay, I fixed it. Anyway. Let me start first by saying that many of us have had our hopes dashed and our expectations dashed when people have put forth dates of good things happening. I mean, there have been good things going to happen for over 10 years in my field of vision. Not as a visionary so much, but as someone who pays attention to what's going on. I mean, Asara was going to be announced, and all sorts of changes. There were supposed to be spaceships landing and showing themselves, and we were supposed to, I mean, you name it. I've probably been there and done that over the past since 2001, 9/11, 2001. That was sort of, I mean, I was awake a little bit before that, but that was really the point at which it all started to come together in a bigger way. And I realized how corrupt the world is. Now, some people think that that's negative when I talk like that the world is corrupt. Well, it is negative. Our world is a really negative place to live. And yes, the government and the powers that be have planned horrendous things against the people of the United States and the people of the world. I believe that's true. I believe there are very, very sick, demented, evil people in the world. The Bush family is part of that. The Rockefellers are part of that. The Rothschilds have been part of that. There are people that are up to no good, and there are people that are committed to reducing the world's population by over 6.5 billion people. Okay, did you hear that number right? They want to wipe out most of the world's population because they don't feel they need us. We're useless eaters is the term they've used. This is true. This is all, I believe, factual information. People like Alex Jones and others report it. And my friend from South Africa seems to get all of the most fearful headlines of the negative things that are supposed to come about. I sort of look the other way. I don't want to ignore these predictions because they do reveal plans of people that have an agenda. They do reveal that. I do believe that agenda is going to be thwarted. So I look for things in general that say the opposite. that talk about the good things that are going to happen, like Nasara, like the restoration of the republic in the United States and republics around the world, like the OPPT, like the Swiss Indo, like some of the things that Benjamin Fulford and David Wilcock and others have said for many months now, actually for many years now. I've looked at these things. I mean, if there's a truth website out there, I've probably been on it numerous times. I lived on Rumor Mill News and what's the one by Bellringer? Fourwinds.com and Rents.com I used to listen to all the time. And Whitney Strieber and Dreamland and all of these things. I've been aware of it. I've listened to. I never actually listened to a live one of the guy that's on the something AM. I've listened to a lot of the replays of those things, but I've never actually listened to one live. But I know what's going on. I'm aware of what the whistleblowers have said and are saying. I'm aware of Karen Huda's, and I like what she's saying. She's saying that there's positive changes, and she knows that there's people that are good that are bringing about changes. But my question in today's video is, what about people that only post bad news? That only post the most pessimistic headline imaginable. Is there value in that? Now, I'm not saying that none of those things should ever be posted. I'm not saying that. But I'm wondering, what is the psychology of an individual who seems to only post that kind of material? Only posts that. And that's how I see my friend from South Africa. He's a good. I don't feel he's a bad person. I don't feel he's what do you call it, a shill or shrill or whatever. I don't think he's somebody that's working for the government or anything like that. I don't believe that. I believe he's a basically decent human being. But the focus always seems to be where Alex Jones's focus most always seems to be. What bad stuff can we report today? and Alex, I have seen Alex when he's had certain people on, like David Icke, for example. David Icke manages to get him to see some positive stuff. But I want you to ask yourself, forget about analyzing my friend from South Africa or anybody that might be like him. What about you? What's your take? Do you want to look at all the negative headlines and know all the bad things that the criminal cabal is planning to do to the people? Do you want to know all the horrible stuff that's already going on in the world? I'm not saying you shouldn't pay attention to it. You know better than that. That's never been my position. Never been my position to put your head in the sand or up your butt. But how much of it can you handle? Personally, I could not handle a steady diet of negative input because I would be totally pessimistic as it is. I'm exhausted doing what I'm doing, and I focus a lot of my attention every day on positive changes that I want to help bring about to the best of my ability. I do that every day. I pray for people every day. When I lay down to take a nap, one of the first things that I do is usually I don't even have to think about it. Images of people that I've been praying for or need to pray for pop into my head. And I just say a silent prayer, and I send healing or whatever energy is necessary. This is part of my daily routine, but I don't even know sometimes what day of the week it is. And in fact, I had a conversation with a friend today. I was totally mixed up on what day the 19th is, which is tomorrow. I was thinking it was Friday for some reason, which is the 20th, and I was totally miscombobulated and didn't even realize that I thought the 19th, I have a responsibility on the 19th, and I thought that was going to be Friday. It's tomorrow. So I have one day less to prepare than what I thought I had to prepare. And that's more heaping on my plate. But again, I want to get back to the question. How much can you take of a negative diet that's only posting the most horrific and terrible and fearful headlines imaginable? If that's your steady diet, I mean, are you being a realist? Do you look at yourself as being a realist? That you really think that the cabal and the wicked people are going to be able to carry out their dastardly deeds, as I've often called them? Do you really think they're going to be able to arrest everybody and put significant numbers of the American, and especially the American population, in concentration camps like some people report? Do you really believe that that's going to happen? Honestly, I don't. Now, some people say, Ron, you're being airy-fairy. I mean, this friend from South Africa, that's what he sees. I mean, to me, I'm being airy-fairy to think that that the arrests are actually going to happen to senators and congressmen and people in the White House and people in the courts and people high up in corporate offices and high up in media. Yeah, I honestly believe that there's going to be arrests made at that level by the provost marshals and by the oath keeper section of the military. I do believe there's major portions of the U.S. and other militaries around the world that want to do the right thing and start supporting the people, and especially start supporting people's rights according to the universal, what is it? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is a UN document. And people say, well, the UN is evil. Yeah, there's been evil people in it. There's evil things planned in the UN, pushed through by the criminal government of the United States and the international bankers. This is all true. It's all true. But do you understand what I've been trying to say for so long, folks? That darkness and these plans need people to be ignorant. And the internet wakes people up. So knowing these things actually has a positive effect, because when we know that they're planning a black op, for example, and this has happened numerous times when they were going to bomb Texas City, for example. They did Oklahoma City, then New York City, New York, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and they were going to do Texas City, Texas. That was a plan. But there were people out there, Captain May or somebody like that, and others in the intelligence community that blew the whistle before it happened, and it didn't happen. And I'm telling you, there are things that we don't even know about, that I don't even know about, that have been thwarted because people got wind of it beforehand, and they can't operate in the light. Do you understand that they can only operate in darkness? Now, my friend from South Africa said in an email to me today, or I don't know if it was an email or a comment on one of the threads, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Well, I'm sorry. If I prepare for the worst, then I believe that that's showing the universe exactly what I expect. I expect the worst to come. Well, I prepare for the best, and I expect the best. Now, sometimes I'm disappointed. Sometimes I am. I did not expect to get arrested last year. I got arrested last year. And I don't know what the future holds exactly. I don't have, and I don't use a crystal ball. I don't channel messages from some entity with a different name. I mean, I'm not saying that's no good, but some of it's been way off, and that's the truth. Some of it has missed the mark, but Benjamin Fulford doesn't channel. And the inside information, and I do believe it's inside information that he's received, sometimes doesn't come to pass in the time frame that he expects it to, or that he's told it's going to. That doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that good things are not going to happen. It just means that there's delays, which is why the light, if you will, or the positive, the people that are trying to bring positive change have to learn to keep things under wraps, at least until the process develops and things are ready to be revealed. And it's best to reveal something when it happens, rather than before it happens. Because if you announce it before it happens, that alerts people to thwart it. The same with the black ops. When the beans are spilled and people know about it beforehand, it makes it a lot more difficult to carry out the plan. Now, in all probability, for example, the recent shootings in the Naval Yard in Washington, D.C., that was another black op because it appeared in at least 2 news sources the day before it happened. Now, how is that possible? Just like BBC announcing the collapse of Building 7 22 minutes before it happened. Okay, all of these things are facts. So I'm wanting you to, if you're eating a constant diet of negative stuff and you're pessimistic about the condition of the world, I invite you to start eating a little bit of other news that builds things up. And if you listen to me regularly, at least you get some positive spin on what's happening. Because I tell you folks, there's a lot of good things happening. And those are the things that I want to personally focus on the most because they keep me in a better frame of mind. Even on blah days like I had a couple of days ago and like I had yesterday, and I've been feeling blah this week because truthfully, things that I expected to happen in September, it doesn't look like they're going to happen until next month at the earliest. And that's disappointing, and I'll be honest with you, it is. And that's probably part of my deflation feeling, my deflated feeling. In any case, fear-mongering is what the cabal does. It's what the powers that used to be and wish they could still continue to be. That's what they want to get people in, that type of frame of mind. But I don't think it does any of us any good to dwell there consistently day after day, which is why I try to have messages that uplift you and to encourage you and to build you up and to build up your hope and your faith and your strength and your optimism to the best of my ability. And I hope I've given you something to think about and something to encourage you with today. Thank you again for listening, and namaste.